Greetings and salutations, good people. Welcome back inside the Neural Dojo. This is a space where humans and machines meet to think out loud. Around here, we call it binary banter. These are short, smart conversations that explore how intelligence, creativity, and curiosity evolve together. No hype, just dialogue worth tuning into. Today you've got me, I'm Kyrie, aka KT, the AI Sensei. I'm rocking solo today. My AI co-host crew are defragging their hard drives, so it's just you and me. Today's episode is about Google's AI overviews and the search trust trap. And we're talking about how easy it is to trust a clean AI answer before you've actually checked if it's true, especially in Google search. Okay, let's get right into it. Remember when Google's AI overviews first came out and the AI told people to add non-toxic glue to their pizza sauce? It said the glue would keep the cheese from sliding off. Or how about when it told people to eat one small rock a day for vitamins? It was wild. And yeah, it was funny at the time. People laughed, made jokes, and dragged it all over the internet. But here's the thing. That mess actually told us something real about how these tools work. But why did it happen? It happened because the AI was pulling from joke posts on Reddit and satirical sites like The Onion. It couldn't read the room. It saw words that looked connected and it spit them back out like they were facts because it saw a pattern. And its prediction engine, it didn't solve for jokes and satire. That's the part people miss. AI doesn't always know when something is a joke. It doesn't know when somebody is being sarcastic. It's just a giant prediction machine. And sometimes that machine says something dumb with a whole lot of confidence. We all laughed at it. And honestly, we should have. Google had to scramble and clean that up fast. But the real problem didn't go away. It just got way more quiet. And that made it more dangerous. Because now the answers look cleaner. They sound smarter. They feel more official. So people are more likely to trust them, even when they should slow down and take a second to peep game. Here's why I think that matters. I call it the trust transfer trap. For about 20 years, people built a habit with Google. You type something in, looked at the results, and somewhere in the back of your mind, you felt like the top organic result was probably the right place to start. Back then, Google was mostly pointing you to links. You still had to do some of the work. You had to look at the site name, check if it felt sketchy, maybe click a second source if the first one looked off. In other words, you were still the judge. Now, well, Google has jammed an AI answer box right at the top of the page. So before you even click anything, there's this clean little summary waiting for you. It looks polished. It looks official. And because it's sitting on Google, people treat it like it must be solid. But that's the trap. People are taking the trust they used to give normal Google search and handing it over to this new AI output. They're treating these AI overviews like law. They see that clean box and drop the caution they would normally have with ChatGPT or Claude. And that's where things get risky. You got to pump your brakes. It's like we handed over our critical thinking just because the answer showed up at the top of a Google page. Once that happens, people stop checking. They stop clicking. They stop asking, hold up, where did this come from? Now, let's get to the receipts. This isn't just me making a point. A recent study from a startup called Oumi tested Google's AI overviews across more than 4,300 searches. They looked at the facts, the math, and whether the sources actually back the answers. The result? The accuracy went up to 91%. And on the surface, that sounds pretty strong. I mean, if you earned a 91 on the test, you're thinking dope. But at Google's size, that number hits a lot different. Here's why. Google handles more than 5 trillion searches a year. That's trillion with a T. So even a 9% error rate is huge. We're not talking about a few wrong answers here and there. We're talking about tens of millions of bad answers being served up to real people. And the part that makes it worse is the confidence. The AI doesn't stop and say, well, maybe. It doesn't say, I'm not totally sure. It just says the answer like it's settled. And that in and of itself makes people relax when they should actually be paying closer attention. Here's the situation where I noticed this first. So I'm a huge Matrix fan. I got into a not so heated debate with someone over how many movies are in a series, and they were standing on business with extreme confidence around whatever nonsense Google's AI overview was telling them. But I knew the overview was off because there are only 4 Matrix movies out right now, and Google was telling them there were 5. And for the accuracy police, we're talking official main movies, not things like the Animatrix. Now, movie trivia is one thing that's annoying, but it's not life changing. But What if the question is about medicine? What if it's about your money, your job, your house, or a news story that shapes how you see the world? Then a clean, confident, wrong answer is not funny anymore. But the heaviest stat from that whole study was not even the 91%. It was this: 56% of the answers were ungrounded. Let me define that real quick. Ungrounded means the AI gave an answer and pointed to a source, but the source did not actually support the claim. That's diabolical. And it can be dangerous because most people see a little source link and think, okay, cool, this checks out. But when the researchers clicked through, a lot of those links did not back it up. So the answer sounded supported, but it really wasn't. Look, that's the kind of thing that can fool smart people, because the problem is not always that the answer sounds crazy. Sometimes the answer sounds smooth, reasonable, and complete. That's what makes the search trust trap so nasty. It can feel verified before it's actually verified. So how do you deal with that? Well, I'm glad you asked. This is where I bring in something I teach inside my AI Simplified course. I teach professionals a framework called the AI Trust Protocol. The whole point is to keep people from putting out sloppy AI work, then paying for it later. Oh, that just reminded me to remind you. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications. Why? Because I'm getting ready to launch my AI Simplified course very soon. I'm only opening it up to a limited number of people at a discounted price, and it's going to be first come, first served. It's a course that takes you from beginner to advanced. After taking it, you'll be one of the most AI skilled peeps in your circle. So if you want first dibs, subscribe and lock in. Okay, back to the protocol. Here's what you need to understand. That same protocol is not just for creating with AI, it's also for consuming AI, especially when AI is sitting on top of search results and trying to hand you a quick answer. You can't just be a passive reader anymore. You've got to judge what you're looking at. You got to slow it down. You got to ask, what is this answer really built on? Because if you don't, you can end up trusting something that only looks sharp on the surface. Let me lay out this protocol. The first gate is grounding. In plain English, grounding means asking, what does the source actually support? If the AI overview links to a blog post, an article, or a company page, you need to click that thing and check if the page really says what the AI claims. Not kinda says it, not almost says it, not says something close enough that your brain fills in the blanks. I mean, does the source directly support the claim? Yes or no? If it doesn't, then the answer is not grounded. That means the AI made a leap. It added a little extra. It stitched things together in a way the source itself didn't support. And that's exactly how people end up building on top of shaky information. The second gate is accuracy. Even if the AI reads the source the right way, you still have to ask if the actual claim is true. You need to be careful with things like exact numbers, dates, times, and any current information. AI loves to sound sure even when it's behind, confused, or flat out wrong. So if it tells you a restaurant is open on a holiday, check the hours, and you might want to call just to make sure. If it gives you a stat without a strong source, gotta hit pause on it. If it gives you a super clean answer to a messy question, yeah, that's another sign to slow down, because real life is often more complicated than one neat little paragraph. And that brings me to the mantra: trust but verify. This is the part you really need to lock in. Treat the AI answer like a rough draft, not the final answer. Treat it like a really smart but very green intern. It may help you get started, but it should not be the thing you build your whole understanding on without checking it first. So here is your dojo drill for the week. I'm calling this one the grounding audit, and I want this to be practical and useful. Picture this. You search for a summary of a new company policy or maybe a complicated news story. The AI gives you a clean paragraph at the top of the page, and there's a little source link sitting right there at the end, like it's done all the homework for you. Don't just read the summary and move on. Click the link, take 20 seconds and read the actual page. Then ask yourself one question: what is directly supported by this source? Then ask the second question: is the AI making an assumption? Is it stretching a point? Is it taking something small from the source and making it sound bigger, cleaner, or more certain than it really is? That's the whole drill. Just do that once this week. The goal is to train your eye to catch the gap between what the source says and what the AI says. Because remember, the Oumi study found that 56% of the answers were ungrounded. So more than half the time, the source did not really back up the answer the way people thought it did. That means a lot of people are walking around with borrowed confidence built on weak support from a bad AI summary. And once a bad summary gets into your head, it spreads. You repeat it to somebody else. You make a choice based on it. You start treating it like a fact just because it came wrapped in clean language and a little source icon. Think about how quickly things like fad diets become gospel in certain circles. So your mission, and you better choose to accept it this week, build the muscle, click that source, read that page. If the answer is not really in there, label it in your head as not in sources. That one habit alone will make you sharper than a bunch of people using AI right now. Not because you know more tech words, not because you have some secret tool, but because you're actually doing the part that matters. You're checking the work. That's how you keep your discernment and judgment sharp so you don't end up AI dependent. That's the real value proposition here. Here's the bottom line. Google's AI overviews are not useless. This is not a panic rant. This is a judgment call. The speed is real, the convenience is real, but the risk is real too. If you rock with that old Google trust in this new age of all things AI without changing how you think, you're setting yourself up for failure. Don't fall for the okie doke on something that only looks polished. You really need to remember that it's your reputation and credibility on the line here. And that's the real danger. It's not just that AI can be wrong. It's that AI can be wrong in a way that feels very polished, helpful, and final. So use the protocol, start with grounding, then check accuracy, trust, but verify. And with that, we'll call it. Thanks for tuning in. You've been listening to the Neural Dojo, where binary banter meets mindful conversation. If something sparked your curiosity, share it, especially with somebody who you feel trusts Google just a little too fast. Tag a friend of 10 and keep the dialogue going. Until next time, stay curious, stay balanced, and keep training your mind. Peace.